All right. Happy August 2025. Time is moving on, as always, but it never ceases to amaze me. I mean, it's August. That's half of a year has gone by here. And pretty soon we'll be into the fall, and then October, and then Christmas, and then 2026. Yeeks. All right. So, anyway, hopefully some people come on tonight. Um, the topic I want to talk about is how long have they abused the critics and ex-Scientologists? If any of you watched Aaron's, you saw he got arrested or detained. I don't know what, but anyway, the police handcuffed him and took him away. And, they've been doing this forever. They had the injunction when I left I think it was around 2000. I told you with the Lisa McPherson, we were doing a candlelight vigil and you've been served, you've been served, you've been served, that kind of thing. And I got out of it, but I will say to everyone, always pay attention. Hey, Steph, the writer, hi. He's been charged with assault and high crime. They tried to pin a criminal conviction on me for sitting in an empty red Santa's chair, walking down the wrong side of the street and blocking a driveway. Go figure. It's like they will do anything to pin some kind of crime on someone. I mean, granted, I always try to keep my boundaries because I know how they work. And they want to get you into something like what happened with Aaron. They want to. Just like with us. I mean, I said to the critics in 2000 or 2001, whenever that was, follow the rules because these guys are very, very intent on catching you at something wrong. So you knew in my mind I had follow the rules, right? And they had a map and all this other stuff. Hey, hi, Pixie 314. Hi. Thanks for coming by. So, they had all kinds of stuff back then. And I followed it, I thought. But then I flew back to LA and the girl said, "Are you Tori?" And I said, "Uh-huh." And she said, "You've been served." And she handed me this thing. And I realized Osa probably paid some young girl $50 and just said, "Do this, say this, this, and this." And she did. And there you go. I thought I'd followed the rules, so I didn't really realize I'd broken anything. But per them, I was a criminal. Now, they failed epically because with me, it was a little different because it was me, 15 people with Bob Minton and Stacy. I'm not sure if Jesse was there for that, but anyway, Stacy and Bob were, I know, and Bunker. And, I said to the critics, because it said at the bottom, hey, screw this, because it said at the bottom, anybody connected to these 15 people, if you're with them, you're part of the injunction. And the critics were all like, screw this, we're not doing it. And I said, look, be careful. Because believe me, they're counting on you not following the rules. That's the way they are. They figure we'll push their buttons, get them to do something weird, and then boom, there you go. But luckily, from what Aaron says, the police sound like they're pretty much on his side. It sounds like. But how it ends up is a whole different thing. Like for me, it was up to the last day. There were 2 days of Bob Minton, 2 days of me. The rest of the people they kind of let go. Hi, Steph, the writer. Oh, you said, yeah, he threw the colored starch at the Scientologist's face. Yeah, it apparently was cornstarch. And I don't know. I'm not going to say anything about it. It's like he did what he did. And to me, my policy is try to not be aggressive with them because it doesn't work. They're counting on that. They want that. They need it. And they've been picking on critics since Jerry Armstrong, who was working with L. Ron Hubbard on L. Ron Hubbard's ship out in the ocean. And Hubbard said, yeah, I want to write a biography about me. Can you do it? And Jerry said, yeah. And so he started writing it. And then Hubbard said, well, I've got a whole bunch of more stuff that's down in, below, if you want to go through those boxes and see. So Jerry did, and Jerry is very meticulous and smart. So he went through it and he found, if Hubbard said this, the facts were this. If Hubbard said that, the facts were that. It was just completely opposite. And so Jerry was kind enough to go up to him and say, look, this isn't going to go well for you, man. It's like the things below in those boxes prove what you're saying is not true. And Hubbard turned on him. And so Jerry just packed up the stuff and left. And they've been after him ever since. And that was years ago. And, I think it was in the 70s, I believe. But they've been after him ever since. And he's moved to Canada and he's got a good life as far as I understand. But they are weird. Then we had I'm sure there were many other things in between, but my personal thing was the injunction where they tried to nail 15 or 6, I think it was 15 people altogether. And they lost, but we had to fight it. We did. We fought it, and they had attorneys there, and it was something else. So my thing is like, pay attention. Don't try to do aggressive stuff to them, because that's what they want. And they will twist it around any way they can. They're videotaping it. They've got cameras all around. When we did the injunction, the judge asked the security guard, how many cameras were there on these people? And this was in a 2 or 3, 4 block area. And we thought maybe 5, 10, something like that. That's what we were thinking. Hi, Moon and Stars. Hi. And the security guard said, over 100, Your Honor. That's in a 4 block area. That's unbelievable. I mean, to me, it should have been, okay, this was a setup. It's over. That's the way I felt. But, they're going to do what they're going to do. And we had to go through it legally and fight it. And we did. And the last sentence the guy said in that injunction was, what about Tori Bazazian blocking the driveway? And the judge looked at him and he said, you know what? She beat that with the UPS truck driving through the driveway, because some lady had walked up to me saying, why are you protesting? And so I'd stopped, not realizing, of course, they would use that to say I was blocking the driveway. I wasn't. I was answering somebody's question. But that's what they used it as. And that's why I'm saying they twist things around. So you have to know and think ahead of time. Now, wait a minute. How could they twist this for the worse? Because that's what they do. And you don't want to be in that position. So anyway, that's my 10 cents. So how are all of you doing? And thank you. Hi, Christy. Thank you for coming by, you guys. Hey, snowberries and cream. That's good. Are you nocturnal? Let's ask the group. Am I nocturnal? I have a thing called Midnight with Magoo. I'm definitely nocturnal. I am definitely a night owl from when I was a little kid. Yeah. My grandfather was a doctor, and when I would go visit him, he had different, he'd have a little black bag and he'd go house to house. People would call him up. I always miss your late lives. Thank you. Well, you caught it now. Good to see you tonight. Thank you, Vaughn Cunningham. Tales of Hyperkinetic Life. That's great. Strawberries and cream. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds really good. So, there you go. That's the way it is. And I'm pretty sure he'll end up fine. It's just, I just wanted to make sure to let people know this is a long-standing thing they've been doing. And the thing about don't protest alone, I've been saying since 2000. As soon as I left, that was the first thing I started saying to people was don't protest alone. Because again, if you're alone, you don't have a witness. You don't have anyone that can testify for you. It's just you and your word. But if you have somebody with you, you do. And it's very important to do that. It really is. So, and I know there's some people that like to just protest by themselves, and that's okay. But if you can, bring someone with you, because then you are protected. You definitely are. Way more than if you're by yourself. Yeah, when they pushed me down the stairs in Ireland, thank God John McGee was there. There were a few other people that were there, but John McGee caught me. And if he hadn't caught me, I probably would have been dead or paralyzed, one or the other. But it shows you how abusive they can be. I mean, think about that. If I was dead or paralyzed, that guy would be going to prison. I mean, what was he thinking? These were really, really steep stairs going up. They weren't like stairs like you think of stairs. They were like steep stairs. And what I was thinking of going inside and going, what are you guys doing? I don't know. You know, it wasn't my brilliant move either. Good to see you tonight also. I'm glad you guys are here. But am I nocturnal? Well, if I have a show, and I do, called Midnight with Magoo, I'm nocturnal. And I have been for, like I said, my grandfather, I used to say, take me with you if you have to go somewhere. And he'd wake me up. He'd go, all right, come on, Tori, get up. And my brothers, because I have two older brothers, and they always were like, look, we're leaving in 10 minutes when we were little kids. You know, we're leaving in 10 minutes. So either get it together and, you know, be with us in 10 minutes, or that's it. No. And so I'm like a fireman. I really am. I can literally do hair down to my shoes in 10 minutes. I mean, I'm just like, done. Got it. So that's fun. That was a good training from my brothers. But my grandfather would help too, because he'd say, all right, let's go. And I'd be like, you know, I had my clothes right there. I was all ready. Just like a fireman, same kind of thing. So do you guys have any questions or comments? I don't know where Miss Sophie is or Love It, but they must be busy tonight. Love It, it's tomorrow. She's from New Zealand. So she's probably cooking now. That's my guess. And I don't know about Love It. I don't know what she's up to, but she's probably, it was my bad. I didn't tell them I was going on. So I'm fine to be with you guys. I'm happy to. And I'm really happy I beat Scientology with the injunction. It was such a win to have that happen. When I found that UPS truck on the video, because I knew my attorney was not after me. He wasn't guarding me. That's why I said to Aaron, be careful. Because Aaron was like, oh, I'm sure my attorney's got it. And it's like, not always. You know, they have a lot of shit that they do in one day. And it's very smart to back them up. Do you know what I mean? Like, you make sure whatever they need, they have it in their hands. That's the way I feel. And that's how I beat it, because I did. I found it. I stayed up all night and I found the loophole, and I gave it to my attorney. And even then he was too busy with these other people. And so I just jumped up in the courtroom and said, Your Honor, I have to say something. And he said, okay, what? And I said, I have a video showing that I didn't block that driveway. Because that was the final thing. If I blocked the driveway, it was a criminal conviction, which is insane to think that that could happen, but it did. And he said, all right, let's play it. And we played it, and there went the UPS truck driving through, and I was like, yes! All right, Steph the writer, he's not being charged with hate crime, at least, not yet. Scientology asked, but the police didn't charge it. Yeah. I think the police are kind of on his side on this one. How do you think is the best way to balance protesting and being disruptive and also staying safe. I'm not a big fan of being disruptive. I'm just not. It's not my thing. I believe in, Jeff Jacobson came up with it years ago in 2000, and he called it Gandhi picket style. And it's just very peacefully picketing. Because if you peacefully picket, hi Moose on the Loose. Excuse me. If an old Fritz Holly, if you peacefully picket, they can't arrest you. They can't do anything. And that's what happened with Anonymous. They had some other plans, believe me. And I said, look, you don't realize what you're up against. These guys will put you in prison. And they did put a couple of them in prison. And they said, well, what can we do? And I said, let's do, just like I'm saying here, do a peaceful protest. It's effective. First of all, when you're disruptive, it upset. I know this from being a Scientologist, being on the inside, and then going out to try to handle the critics, and then going back in. And it's like they use the disruptiveness to go, do you really want to be with these people? And you just naturally go, no, because they're destroying our group. And when you're in, it's your group. That's what it is. So I don't believe in being disruptive. And I don't think people hear you, because I know I didn't. When people were yelling at me, I didn't hear a thing. If they were throwing stuff at me, forget it. You know, it's just like, it's a forget it thing. It doesn't work. But if you peacefully protest, that gives them a chance to go, well, that's Scientology. They take everyone's money, or the way out is the nearest door, or whatever, you know, some sign that they can see and go, oh, I remember that. You know, it's just one of those things. That's how I feel. That doesn't mean that's how you have to feel, but that's the way I feel. And the other thing about that is you're protected. That's the main thing. Criminal conviction, Tori, for you, crazy. I know, for me to be a criminal, you know, for blocking a door that they had already blocked with all kinds of Christmas stuff and shit like that. So it was totally blocked. Then they put the red Santa's chair out in the front because they knew I'd sit in it, and I had Ida sit in it too. And then they said, that's a crime. You know, we're calling the Attorney General's office. And I'm like, what? I mean, this was the first time I've heard somebody mention the Attorney General's office with Aaron. And it was like, they did that with me. They started screaming they were going to call the Attorney General's office. And I said, I'm sitting in a Christmas Santa's chair that's empty on the street. You know, it was just like, what is wrong with you people? And that's when Bob Minton came running up the street and he said, get your hands off her. And he took me and put me in LMT. And, you know, it was just like, oh, but I didn't realize how far they were going to stretch it. You know, it's one of those things. Whereas if you peacefully picket, there's nothing they can stretch. You're so special, Tori. Y'all better press the like button. Oh, thank you, Moose on the Loose. I appreciate that. Old Fritz, Moose on the Loose. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, thank you really for reminding people. That's a really important one. So, hope the cops don't capitulate to Scientology. Aaron has some solicitors. Bob Minton and Mark Bunker had Tori. No, wait. Aaron has some solicitors. Bob Minton and Mark Bunker had Tori. I don't know what you're saying there. I get that you hope they don't capitulate to Scientology. Aaron has some solicitors. Meaning what? Okay, you wrote something. Let me see what you wrote. Thanks for the reminder. Same solicitors. Well, he has the same. Bob Minton is dead, so he doesn't have Bob Minton. Mark Bunker is in Clearwater. He does. You're saying he had the same solicitors Bob Minton and Mark Bunker had Tory. So you're telling me that. You're saying Tory, Aaron had the same solicitors Bob Minton and Mark Bunker had. Which were who? They're the same solicitors. I guess I don't know what the word solicitor means. I thought solicitor meant, like you're soliciting magazines and stuff like that. I guess I don't know what it means. You got to let me know. Tell me what it means. The same solicitors. Old Fritz, fill me in. Thank you, Moose on the Loose. I appreciate that. Okay. The same firm of solicitors that Bob Minton, etc. used. Aaron is using the same attorneys. Okay, sorry. I'm a Brit. Oh, okay. So Aaron's using the same attorneys. Okay. That's good. I don't know if it's the same for Bob. It's the same for Bob with Mark Bunker that was earlier, because Bunker and I talked about this, and I said, that wasn't my attorney. And he said, no, yours was in 2000. This was in the 90s. It was a different attorney. And he's really good, and he really knows the cult, and he knows this fight. Do you know what I mean? So that'll be good. The other guy, I wasn't so thrilled about, because he was basically helping Bob and not helping me. So when I thought Aaron's using him, I was like, uh-oh, I wasn't too thrilled about it. But now finding out it's the other guy, I think it's Dennis DeFlaming. I think that's his name. But anyway, I'm hoping it works out. It's the same firm. Don't know who exactly. Yeah, I do because I talked to Bunker. I'm still moving right now. Sorry, but had to say hi. That's okay. Where are you moving to? Are you moving homes, or are you just moving in your house somewhere from room to room? I hate moving. If you knew me, I had years ago. My son's in his past 45. And when he was a little kid, one of the Scientology daughters would come over and babysit for us when we'd go out. And so I told her one day, I said, well, just so you know, this is where the clicker is for the TV, and this is where this is. And she goes, Tori, I know where everything is in your house. You never change anything. This is here, and this is there, that's there. And I laughed. I thought, she's right. And her mother was the queen of change everything. It was like if the dining room was there that day, the next day it was a bedroom. You know what I mean? She just was crazy. So for me, I don't like living that way. But some people do. So anyway, Steph the writer, another question. I've always been so confusing as to how the community is so accepting of Scientology. For example, people still go to community classes but say they don't agree with Scientology. What classes are you talking about? Scientology doesn't have community classes. And the community, as far as I know, does not accept Scientology. They hate Scientology. Those guys that you see in the city council are Scientologists. So sure, they're going to be pitching how great it is. But the city, no, not really. At least that my understanding. We can ask Bunker because he'd know more. Mine is back from, I left in 2000. 49ers for life. I just saw the new Naked Gun movie. Did you like it? Sounds good. What's the hold Scientology has on the communities like that? I don't think they do, Steph. I really don't. Scientology has money. That's where the problem is. They have billions of dollars, and they put it into Scientology, buying these things up. But that doesn't mean people like it. They haven't as long as I've been there, which was 1979. Just closing some bars around town in New Orleans. Ooh, wow. You mean for the night? You're just closing them. Ah, okay. New Orleans. Wow, that's got to be fun. What a fun place to live. They host community classes. Scientology does. Yeah, but some people are going to go to those, but that doesn't mean they like Scientology. They may want to learn whatever they're, teaching, but that doesn't mean they like them. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Not in Clearwater. So they host community classes not in Clearwater. Okay. Swedish Andrea. Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming by. Steph the writer. I remember the Van Nuys location was hosting a class. What kind of class? If you remember it, what kind of class were you talking about? Good morning. Classes for what? Do you mean scholastics? Yeah, I'm interested too. This is the first I've ever heard of that. I think protesters need to do more chalk tech outside of Scientology orgs. Well, that's one way of doing it, is chalk tech. When I asked the people coming out of the building, they didn't elaborate on the classes, but almost defended Scientology. It was so weird. Okay, but it depends on how you're asking the question. Do you know what I mean? And Scientology's probably said there's some really people out there that really hate us and blah, 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 and kind of pit you against them. So then when the people go out, they're like, well, we're enjoying this class and leave us alone, that kind of thing. That's from Scientology. I'm just telling you, I know from talking to the people, most of them hate Scientology. They came in and destroyed their downtown. They took it over. And the people really didn't appreciate it at all. They used to have a beautiful downtown. And now it's all Scientology. I can't imagine people being for that. No. Just because a few people do community classes, that doesn't mean that the community is for Scientology by any means. You're always more welcome here in New Orleans. Oh, thank you. Wow. Well, you have to send me your contact information, Moose on the Loose. Let me show you. Here's the number, because 2 people did. Moon and Stars and JB808. See that number? If you send me your contact information there, that's my cell phone number. And do you have it? Anyway, you can find it on my site if you didn't get it. But thank you. I'd like to sometime. Hey, old Fritz. Good to see you. Rib Guy's Finji. Hi, Finji. How are ya? Good to see you. We're all saying rib Guy because he can't. I think that's, if I understand it right. I like Rib Guy. He's a very good guy. And anybody who doesn't like me, that's on them. That's right. So Finji, is that your first name, last name, made up name? What is it? I've always been curious about that. Pooh Tigaroo. Hi. How are you? Thanks for coming by. Rib Guy is nice. He is. He's a very nice guy. Oh, it's a made-up name. All right. Well, that's a clever name. It sounds real. I don't know why, but it does for me. Old Fritz. Think you're right about the name, Tori. I've seen lots of Rib Guys variations lately. Yeah, because he can't say anything on the net, I believe. So that's why everybody's saying, they've changed their names to Rib Guy, whatever they are. The only reason why I'm not is I don't know if I can then change it back, and I don't want to have that be a permanent thing. And I don't know how to do things technically, so I just leave it be, Tori. I'm good, my beastie. Hi, Pooh, my beastie. Hi, Eric. Hello from Culver City, California, and say hi to your parents, please. I hope you have been. Tell them I'm very, very proud of them and you. Both of you are doing really well. All right, and this is Gnome Sane. I still remember the video of a protester blowing bubbles, and in the line of cops against him, one cop says, "If a bubble touches me, that's assault." Come on, are you serious? See, that's just pathetic. You just think, God, and you're a cop? I remember when, LMT was like the street. This is the main drag in Clearwater. Not here's the Fort Harrison over here. And, the Fort Harrison goes on this way. And then this way is, I think, Cleveland. And LMT was down behind the bank building. And so at the end of the street the bank LMT was on, Lisa McPherson Trust, are these cops sitting in lawn chairs, getting paid by the city. They're overtime, right? And they're in lawn chairs. You're just picking on us. And I went down there and I said, you know what? You guys are pathetic. I said, I'm from Chicago. And Chicago cops would never, ever, on duty, sit in a lawn chair and pick on some other people. Your job is to protect the people. And we are part of the people, whether you like it or not. I don't care if Scientology is paying you. Shame on you if you're a cop and you're on their side taking money. That's just gross. And you know what? They got really upset about it. And they packed up their little lawn chairs and left. It was like, goodbye. He also admitted that the whale needle Becky story was just him trolling. That is disgusting. No, wait, I missed this. I still remember the video. Okay. That is just disgusting. And he being DOA, right? Old Fritz assaulted by a bubble. I know. How can a cop say that? I mean, I could see some old woman if she was, kind of crippled, and even then, an older woman wouldn't care. It's so stupid. Bubble assault. That's just pathetic. I'm printing that and putting it in my office. It is pathetic, isn't it? It's just this kind of stuff is pathetic. It's like that I had to sit in a courtroom for 2 days with these morons. It was unbelievable. And they had a whole row of attorneys and OSA. And then on our side was one attorney. And it was like, and I told you, they tried to pull my husband into it. And I said, I'm going to get these guys. I'm going to get them. And I wanted to. I really did, because I was just pissed off at them. And I said, you know what? Your Honor, if they want to bring my husband into this courtroom, go right ahead. But here's the deal. If you bring him into this courtroom, we get to depose every single OT8. And I said, I want you to think about that, because we're going to depose them and we're going to get a lot of information from them. And that's from the judge said, could everyone just please come up here, all the attorneys? I think this is a personal issue for her. So why don't we just leave her husband out of it? And I was like, good. Okay. He damaged a lot of people, 49ers. Yeah. He did. What? He also admitted that that's awful. He damaged a lot of people. He told all of us we were bad actors and Luckily, we all kind of moved away. And now he has no friends. And he's like, I don't have any friends. Yeah, like, yeah, guess why? And I told him that about 2 months ago. He was complaining about everything. And I said, look, I called him up and I said, I want you to know something. You are responsible for all this shit. Nobody else. You. You started it. You turned it into a bunch of shit. And now you're complaining about it and blaming us. It's not us. It's you. And he had to think about it. He stopped talking for a little bit. And I said, are you still there? And he said, yeah, I finally got what you were saying. For a minute. He started in the next day doing his shit. Good, Steph the writer. I'm glad you're going to write it on there. That's just pathetic. It is. Swedish Andrea will catch the rest on replay. Got to make the kids breakfast. Ah, sweet. Well, give them little hugs from me and have a wonderful day. Siegling, hi. Loose on Loose. I've always wanted to go to New Orleans, mostly for the music. My YouTube moniker is in honor of the late Snooks Eaglin, who sadly I never made it there to see before he passed. Is he online? Because probably on YouTube you can check it. Snooks Eaglin. That's a cool name. Antics of the Mama Squirrel. Hiya. Thanks for coming by. I think the cops in Clearwater aren't so owned by Scientology these days. I think you're right. Seen Mark Bunker's videos, and the cops are awful to you protesters. The cops were, yeah, and the old ones, they were awful, but they're a lot better now. I think they've learned their lesson. And also they've watched this, and it's like eventually they have to kind of go, wait a minute. I'm going to text you to remind you that we need to schedule the interview tape. Okay. Thank you. And give me a few choices. Moose on the Loose, Sieglin, Heart, nice. Old Fritz, haha, no one takes on Tori. I wouldn't say that. A ton of people took me on, but I fought them, man. I hung in there. They didn't win. They didn't. They thought they were going to win, but they didn't win. Pooh Tiggaroo. Hello, Mama Squirrel. Oh, that's nice. Everybody's saying hi. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's our secret. Moose on a Loose. Hey, Antics. Now, wait a minute. Where did it? Oh, Antics of Mama Squirrel. Yeah. Rib Guys Fingy. Hi, Antics and Old Fritz. Hi, Moose. You took like a local librarian. You look like a local librarian? I do? I know I don't really look like a criminal. It's kind of that's a stretch. But it just goes to show, that's why I wanted to make this video. It's like you have to pay attention. And I'm a woman, and I still had to pay attention. So people like Aaron, he definitely has to pay attention. And he's more aggressive. I'm not. I never have been. I never will be. It's not my style. I know, I've worked with them. I know how they are. They love that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, great. YouTube creators that cover Scientology today can thank ex-members speaking out for the accuracy of details in their videos. True. And Antics says, oh, I just checked, and we did settle on a date and time already. I'm losing it apparently. Can you send me the date again? Can you send it to me? Because I probably wrote it down, but just in case I didn't, send it to me. I will text you. Yeah, perfect. Just to remind us. Yeah, good. Good. I go back and watch Mark Bunker's videos. Freaking gold. They really are. I mean, Bunker is classic. He really is. Thursday, I believe it is Thursday. Is Thursday? Let me just check one thing. When is the 7th? Okay, so today's the 2nd. Wow. Yep, it's already 12. So, all right, it's the 2nd. So the 7th. No, the 6th, which is Wednesday. Okay, so this Wednesday coming up, I'm having a colonoscopy. So I probably will do a video Monday, but I probably won't do one Wednesday. I don't think. I don't know. We'll have to see. Hi, Tori. Hi, Steph. Hello. Hi, Jacob. Good to see you. Sometimes I feel like Bunker was a little too nice. Well, he comes from a long line of watching things go down, and being nice, again, there's not a lot you can do with somebody being nice. It can help warm things up, and I think he's helped with the police and stuff like that. But, being mean, being, abusive, it's tricky. It's hard to turn people on your side when you're that way. I'm due for a second colonoscopy soon. I have them every 3 years because my mother died of colon cancer. Good for you. Well, this will be my second one too, but it isn't every 3 years, but I think it is about that. I think it is. Anyway, I'm going to do it. I'm not looking forward to it. And the night before is, so the actual thing is on Wednesday, right? Let me just look and see. Today is Saturday. Is today Saturday? Oh my God, it is. So we've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. All of Tuesday I have to do the pre-thing. And then Wednesday I get it, and then I'm home. So then maybe Wednesday night I can, depending on how I feel. And then Saturday, I'm going to a wedding, believe it or not. So there you go. All right. So, well, the quicker you check back into us, the less anxious for us. Don't be anxious. They have this colonoscopy thing down. I mean, it's fine. It really is. I mean, they really, really, it's sort of like cataracts. I was like kind of scared about that. They have it down. And, it's amazing. It's just like they've done so many of them for so many years. It's no problem. And the same with the colonoscopy. And they've just gotten better from what I understand. That awful liquid they have you drink for days before see, they don't do that anymore. You only do it from 6 o'clock till you go to sleep, and then the next morning until 11:30. That's it. It's not all day and for days. It isn't. The Dancing with Magoo video is a classic. I love it. Thank you. Dancing in Boston. Magoo dancing in Boston. Yeah. And Rib Guy Benji says, hi, Eric. Moose on the Loose, nice heart. Good group of people. So hopefully our friend JB808 is good. I think they haven't had any backflashes from Hawaii, so he should be good. And I haven't heard from Dave in Australia, so I hope he comes on one of these nights. But in the meantime, I'm enjoying seeing you guys. Do you have any other questions? People ask me all the time on TikTok, why do they stare at you? Pinchy, isn't it like 3:30 a.m. where you are? He's a night owl. It's okay with me. I'll always have questions. Okay, well, ask me a question then. Are you ever going to protest at Pasadena org? Maybe. The thing about Pasadena org is that it's almost like, it's like going out, it's not as bad as going out to Hemet, but like going out to Hemet, there's no foot traffic and they have everyone locked inside. So it's like you're basically out on a road by yourselves with picket signs, and then they turn on these huge organ music that's just god awful. And so I said, that's it, I'm done with that. But that might be a good one to do, Pasadena org. That might be fun. Love going to weddings. Okay, haven't got any this summer. Don't know if I'm getting unpopular or it's getting too expensive. It's not that you're unpopular. It's that I don't think that many people are getting married anymore as they used to. You know, marriage was a lot more jumping in the earlier years. And now people are, I don't think they're getting married as much, or they're doing very simple weddings. So Steph, the writer, what is your question? Jacob, yeah. I've been out all night, too much fun. Oh, that's fun. Aha, I love it. I'm jealous. Yeah, I was out all night too with, I went over to my friends and a bunch of her friends came over that are much younger than us, but we all had a great time. We really did. We had a lot of fun eating and talking. And one of them brought all of her makeup that she had all this brand new makeup that she just didn't like and didn't want. And it was like, do you want this? Do you want that? She brought clothes from her closet. It was really fun. For girls, it was really fun. You know, I thought I should do the same thing because I got tons of stuff too. But I never write them down, but I remember one. Okay, tell me the one you remember. Has the abuse of critics and ex-Scientologists changed since 2000? Oh, dramatically. You know, they used to send out handlers. I was one of them back in the 90s and even in the 2000s. You know, they would send out, Tim was one of them who used to come. Hi, Tim, if you're watching. He used to come out. He was an old friend of mine and the brother of a really good friend of mine. And they're still, I think, in Scientology, but they moved away. And that told me, okay, they really don't want to do Scientology because they were Class 8s, OT8s. They owned a mission. And they wanted to give me their mission up in Montrose. And I said, no, because now it's like a mission is the same as the Sea Org. You know, they tell you your statistics, how much you have, how many books you have to sell, stuff like that. And I talked to a few mission holders and they were just like, nah, it's no fun anymore. So I didn't want it. And he said, it's $100,000. And I said, I don't care. I don't want it. It's just a giant hassle. So they left and moved. And I think they moved just to get away from Scientology bugging them. I think. And you could always call me. You guys know who I'm talking about to them. I have a few, but never write them down. Okay. So yeah, I think that it's changed a lot because they used to send people out to handle us, and they were more proactive. They were out and about. Everybody was out. Now everybody's in. They got them all locked in. That's it. Once these cameras came, it was like, no. We used to have like one camera, one or two cameras, Bunker if he was here and somebody else. That was it. Now everybody's got a camera. I am who you say I am. I didn't know you were streaming. Hey, Tori, and hey, Chad. Hi, thanks for coming by. I know I don't know why you didn't get a check to make sure you're set up to get notifications. Moose on the Loose. What do Scientologists think about the first people who went to the moon? Well, it just depends on the person. Some people thought it was great. There's everything in between. It's like there's people who think, oh, there's already guys that live on the moon and, they'll run into them. And that wasn't me. But I thought it was cool that they went to the moon. At the time, I thought it was cool. Now, not so much. I love listening to, I forget his name. Neil deGrasse Tyson. I have his book. We went to see him at a theater, and he spoke, and he was there with Spock, from Star Trek. And they both shared stories about outer space. And when you hear him talk, it's fascinating. I'm all for it. I'm all for what he's doing. It's 100% cool. But, like this billionaire guy giving people rides that cost $1 million and stuff like that, forget it. No, I'm not for that. Oh, so that's what they think. It's all different people think different things. Moose on the Loose, wait. That's a good question. I've never thought about what were Hubbard's takes on the moon landing. That I don't know. I wasn't around L. Ron Hubbard, so I don't really know. And he never wrote anything about it that I can think of. I don't know. Steph the writer, I've noticed a difference in how Scientologists interact with protesters from when Bunker used to be out to present day. What major differences have you noticed? Well, like I said, in 2000, when I left, they were out in droves. Scientologists were out talking to us, trying to handle us. I used to be a handler. I would go out and try to get people to, stop protesting in front of our church, leave us alone. And a lot of times I'd get people to leave. It was amazing. But then they had less people, but they had specific handlers that would come out. And when Drew and I started this thing of a, what do we call it? Flash picketing. I made up that name because Anonymous was here, and Anonymous would always announce where they were going to picket it, when they were going to picket, which was a good idea because it would build up how many people came to the protest. But I was sort of like, yeah, but then Scientology knows how to block it. And they would do all this shit to block it. And I said, let's just do a flash picket. And Drew said, well, what is that? He was never in. And I said, well, we just take our signs and let's pick an area and we'll go protest there. And it was really fun because they were not ready for us and they were not happy about it. It was really fun. So anyway, that was that. But it just changed. And then when it really changed for me, obviously COVID, that changed a bunch because people weren't protesting. And then when these kids showed up, basically Jessica and Will being first, with them saying, get off our block. And he's like, pardon me? He's got his film, The Police LA. The guy's out on the street. He knows the cops. He knows the laws. And he's like, don't be trying to throw me off the block. You know what I mean? And so then he just noticed that they were recruiting kids into this testing center. And he said, that's it. I don't care about getting people out of Scientology, but I am going to shut it down. And he did. He has been systematically shutting it down. And I don't think they've recruited anybody since Will and Jessica showed up. Jessica showed up and was very, very funny, Jessica Palmadessa. But she was who got me into this, because my friend Andrew said, type in Jessica Palmadessa on TikTok. And I said, Andrew, I don't go to TikTok. I don't like it. No. And he knows me. And he said, Tori, I'm telling you, go type in Jessica Palmadessa on TikTok. So I did. And there she was doing the thing with Twyla and the sweeping and the big shoes and all that stuff. But I laughed so hard. I thought, oh my God, these people are so, like, Scientology is here and these kids are like way up here. They're so far advanced from what Scientology is used to. And they are not used to this many cameras and people. She just walked into the testing center. She was like, you know what? I have 25,000 or million people that are on my TikTok site, and they're all worried about one of your security guards. He's not coming back. And she said, get out. And Jessica's like, okay, we're watching that. 25 million people. And I just laughed. I thought, they just weren't ready for it. You know what I mean? They weren't ready for the internet. Anonymous has a thing, fuck, the internet is here. I found that picture today. It's such a great picture of all the anonymous guys in their protest signs and this big banner, fuck, the internet is here. And it's true. It really, really changed things dramatically. And they were not ready for it. I used to always say, well, if L. Ron Hubbard was so OT, why didn't he perceive the internet coming? Why didn't he make plans for that? He didn't. He didn't see it. Okay. So did that answer your question, Steph the writer, about the major differences that I've noticed? I mean, now nobody's out here in LA. There's nobody. Moose on the Loose, Jacob Harkey. I know, right? It's an implant station too. That's right. 49ers for life. The Scientology handlers always added to the excitement. They did. They really did. It really made everything so much more fun, and it was interactive, whereas now it's a different thing. Noam Sane, did you listen to LRH's lectures on the reel-to-reel machine? Yep. On a cassette tape player? Yep. Any quirks with the machine you had to deal with? Not really. I mean, I've heard of people who listen to it in sped up time. I didn't know how to do that, so I just listened to it. I'd turn it on and listen to it and be an hour. My main complaint was he was just a giant blabbermouth, and I still think he is. He'd make about 2 points in an hour, and all the rest was, my buddy's down at the dock, we'd go out on our ship, and he had all these words, these big words that he'd throw in. So then we'd have to look those words up because none of us knew what they were. And originally it was a hard to find words that were in the course room. And they were just like little, 3x5 cards. And it was just a card thing with somebody'd find a hard to find word. They'd look it up, they'd define it and put it in that thing. Hi, Sophie, you showed up. You just got home. Cool. Well, welcome. But by the end, right before I left, I went into, I think, the Key to Life course room, and they had a big, the thing was big, like this and like this and like this thick. And it said, hard to find words. And I thought, oh my God. I just couldn't believe it. I could, because I listened to enough of his tapes to know he has a million words he would throw in. But wow, what a waste of time. Well, welcome home, Sophie. Steph the writer, this is more of a silly question. Tom Cruise has a new girlfriend, very famous. Do you think he's already lured her into Scientology? I have no idea. My guess is most of the celebrities now are pretty much educated on the darker side of Scientology. And I would be surprised if she got into it. But if she's in love with him, that's kind of what you have to do. So I have no idea. We'll have to wait and see. Old Fritz, love how you call Mark Bunker just Bunker. You can tell it's almost like an endearment coming from you. It is. I mean, I love Bunker. You know what I mean? I loved him from the day I met him. And I was in, and he was a critic at the time. He was out filming, and we were trying to handle him and get him to go away. And he was like, no, I'm not going away. And he kept filming. He had one of those big cameras. And, both Harold and I, my ex-husband and I, we both liked him right away. He was just a nice person. He is. He's from Wisconsin. I like a lot of people from Wisconsin. They're really good people. And that's how Bunker is. He's just a good person. So, they picked on the wrong guy for that. They really did. All the time. They picking on me was stupid. They should have just let me go. I would have been on my way many times. But way to go, Osa. You had to keep pounding, didn't you? 49ers fan, hi. Old Fritz, good to see you, says Sophie. I am who you say I am. Her being a Scientologist was probably a requirement before proposals. I don't know if he's proposed, has he? But if he's going to, yeah, it will be. She will. But whether they're going to get married or not, that's another thing. Sieglin. L. Ron Hubbard's visit to Venice sure wasn't fake, though. He almost got run over by a freight train there. Good one, Sieglin. I think the way they handled critics back in the day made them look bad. And now they act weak, like they are a persecuted minority. It works better when they ring the cops on protesters. They look better, in my opinion, when they were out trying to handle us, because at least they were there protecting their church. Now they're like a bunch of wimps. It's like, okay, what's your problem with these people? I mean, they're out. I mean, not that many people are out around their buildings because there's nothing there. You know what I mean? There aren't that many people there, and they're just not. So that's the way it is. But I think it did. I think you're right. They looked better back in the day when they were at least out handling things. Whereas now they're like in hiding. And Hubbard's thing was he had the no to mystery scale, which was one of his many scales. And way at the bottom of the no to mystery scale, right before mystery, is thinking. No, it's hiding. And thinking was way low also, but hiding was the bottom, right before mystery. So they're in hiding. So why aren't they applying the tech? Jessica is freaking hilarious. Her comedic timing was everything. I know, she really is. She's great. She really is. Hi, Sophie. Yes, thank you. Question. When you were in Scientology, how many members did you think they had? Did you believe that they had millions of Scientologists? Well, certainly we saw physically, every course room was filled. When I got in, it was 200 people outside the briefing course after course at 10:30 at night. Probably 100, but let's say 100 outside after course room for an hour, just chatting with each other. So, I mean, the orgs were filled wall to wall, every course room, auditing rooms. It was jumping, back in the day. So I don't know the number, and I never believed their numbers ever. Miscavige would say, well, originally it wasn't Miscavige, and it wasn't really LRH because he was out on the ship, but they would have reports from him and, how many millions of people and stuff like that. And it was just sort of like, okay, whatever. It didn't matter to me. I could tell that most of their events were just filled with bullshit. And so it was kind of like, how much bullshit? I don't know. I didn't care. But I was happy with the org that I was at, wherever I was, because there were a lot of people there. And that meant it must be good. It must be working. So I really didn't care if they had millions of Scientologists or not. I knew they did from other countries because I met people from other countries. Hey, Dawn, how you doing? Hiya, my friend. There's no way Tom Cruise would not date a Scientologist. Okay. The only thing interesting about the lectures is counting how many times Hubbard said, and so on and so forth. Oh, what a blabbermouth. Oh, my God. Good point. No, really, truly. I cannot stand his voice. I know, me neither. Even to this day, if somebody puts just a clip of it, I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I just don't. I really don't. And I'm sure Osa right now is going, see, she has overts on him. No, I don't have overts on him. You're fucking brainwashed. That's what it is. I don't have overts on L. Ron Hubbard. He has overts on me. That's what happened. And you all, for backing up the Church of Scientology, when they did that abusive shit to me, have overts on me also. And that's why you're nattering about me now. So just remember that every time you natter and say nasty things about Tori Christman, it's because you have overts on me, and you know it. And if you ever want to be forgiven, you can come out and I will forgive you. Moose on the loose, love ya. I gotta pass out. Okay, all right. Have a good tomorrow. Moose on the loose, good night. Have a great sleep. Steph, the writer, Mark's advice to me when I first met him was to just get out there and film. I have so much footage from last year, but I don't have the brain power to edit it. Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I know how you feel. I'm the same. But just pick something. Look on YouTube, because I learned this from mechanics, because I thought mechanics all, I don't know, did something so that they all knew how to do stuff. No, they all go on YouTube and look it up. The plumbing is not getting fixed. What is it? You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So I watched my roommate learn how to garden, learn how to plant and grow organic vegetables in my backyard. They were fantastic. He learned how to be a carpenter on YouTube and with ordering books and tools and stuff like that. And he made beautiful things. So, you can do the same with editing. Just pick one thing and learn it and try it. And then pick another thing. And I'll do the same thing. If you do it, I'll do it. Because I need to learn how to edit too. And I don't know how. And I'm the same as you. But let's each try one thing. And then the next time I see you, I want to see if you learned one thing. And you ask me if I learned one thing. Okay? Let's do that. That's a Scientology epic fail. What is, old Fritz? I forget which thing you're talking about. Who's on the loose? Oh, from Nome, you mean? The only thing interesting about the lectures is counting how many times Hubbard said and so on and so forth. Oh, God. Well, that's good advice, Steph. That's Scientology's epic fail. Okay. L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, did write about a potential of establishing a military base on the moon. Wow. In his 1947 article, Fortness in the Sky. Wow. Well, thank you, Dawn. I did not know that. I never read any of his writings. I mean, besides the books and things I had to read for course. Question. What are your thoughts on a few Scientology documentaries? I love Leah and Mike's. I mean, how can you not? That's young kids who were raised in it and their personal stories. It's fantastic. I love, what's the other one? I keep thinking A Piece of Blue Sky, but that's John Atek's book. What's the other one? Going Clear. I'm in the book for Going Clear with Lawrence Wright. And then Alex Gibney made the documentary, who's fantastic. I mean, if you haven't seen, he has done one on all kinds of different people and places. He's a fabulous documentarian. So I would say look up Alex Gibney and just follow some of his stuff. But anyway, I like him so far. I mean, I don't know if there's something else you're thinking of. Sophie, Tori, I agree about how they used to handle the critics, but it makes them look aggressive, and it's better for them to play victim for police. Oh, for sure. But I don't think it does for the public. Do you see what I mean? For the police, yeah. But for the public, and even the police, you can see if you watch Aaron's latest video, they're whittling down. You know what I mean? They've been watching this game since 1979 when I was there. They started running this stuff. And, I think they're sick of it. I really do. And good for them. Can't hide. That's right. Sieglin, that's right. Can't hide. Old Fritz, it's always an epic failure for them. I know, it really is. See, Anonymous came up with that epic fail. And now you see it more, but I love it. It's they had a big, huge, sign, epic fail. It is. It's an epic fail for them. In the article, Hubbard detailed the potential military applications of a lunar base, suggesting that the nation controlling it would effectively rule the world? And that sounds like his sci-fi bullshit. I don't think that's true. Don't forget to like, everyone. Thank you, Sophie. Usana Luz, thank you for your hearts. Rib Guys Benji. Good night, Moose. I'm heading to bed too. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Rib Guys Benji. Thank you for keeping Rib Guy alive. 49ers for life. I learned how to use chopsticks years ago by watching YouTube videos. That's a good idea because I don't know to this day. I can do it, but I'm very fumbly on it. I'm going to try that. Thank you. And then remember, we're going to try our thing on editing. One thing. Article published under Captain B.A. Northrop envisioned the first landing within 5 to 10 years and highlighted strategic advantages of a lunar base, appeared in Air Trails and Science Frontiers. I would have never read that, Dawn. I'm surprised you did. Deal. Okay, good. So we're on. One thing. We just have to learn one thing. Let's do it. Okay, Finji, good night. I noticed that Elleridge was 74 when he passed, and Tori is 78. I think Tori wins since she's older than him. Woohoo! I know. I thank you. Thank you for pointing that out, Eric. I had never even thought of that. I hadn't. It's like when you get to be my age, I go, I don't know. Maybe I could be gone tomorrow, but I'm happy I'm here today, and that's all that matters. And I'm happy that I get to know you guys, and I love you. Eric, LeVay, Tori wins for sure, and good evening. Yeah, Eric wins too, and his parents. His parents are really cool. For an organization that claims to be expert communicators and having the ability to confront, they sure don't. I know, isn't that amazing? That's, for me, on a daily basis, you just look at them and go, who are you people? At least in the old days when the critics would come out, we did go out and apply our Scientology tech with them. Not that it worked, but my stuff worked because I just forget Scientology stuff. I'm just going to talk to them like my parents taught me how to talk to people. And I would talk to them and they'd leave a lot of times. And I'd come back in and Osa would say, what did you do? What did you do? And I'd say, I just talked to them. They're just people. They're people with a different viewpoint. And they could never get that, ever. For an organization that claims to be, yeah, that's a good one, Sophie. I've only learned basic edge editing using open source software called Lossless Cut, where I learned footage has keyframes, which if you don't encode, have to be the starting point of cutting a clip. Very complicated for me. I'm going to write that down though, but that's like way above my head. I need like kindergarten editing. That's what I need. Basic tools, open source. Okay, open source software called Lossless Cut. I'll have to start somewhere else. That's way above my pay grade. Sophie, Dawn, and yet nobody can get through the Van Allen belt to get to the moon. Have you ever sat with Aaron Smith-Levin for an interview? Hi from England, Emma. Yeah, I have. Hi, thank you for coming by. Yeah, I have. You can go on his site and type in my name, and we did an interview together. Well, I don't know that I sat with him. We kind of did a long distance thing. I did meet him here for a protest. He came here for a protest, and I met him live for that. But we didn't do an interview then. We just did the protest. But I did an interview with him online. I didn't read it and never would have. I used chat GPT. How funny. Wow. I'll tell you, JB808, you wouldn't believe what a cool video he made. Oh my God, using AI, I was stunned. It was his first video, and it's really cool. He wrote a song for me, and he's really a good writer. But then he showed me, he made a video for Bunker's birthday, and it's really cool. I was probably on Bunker's site, but it's really cool. He really picked it up fast. Sieglin, the PR story was that LRH dropped his body, of course, when he did in order to continue his OT research. I remember the story. Without the hindrance of the physical body. Robert von Young admits to writing this lie later on. Oh, good. That I didn't know, that Von admitted to writing that. Really? I knew Von. God, he was out by the time I got out. Wow, that's amazing. Wouldn't have read it. Right, Sophie. Tori needs a I outlived Ron Hubbard t-shirt to wear at protest. I think the interview with Tori and Aaron. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Sophie. I'm terrible with written instructions. I learned by being shown. Yeah, me too. I'm not so good at written instructions, but I'm going to try. Dawn made sure the chat GPT doesn't turn culty on you. Okay, thanks, Sophie. Sophie, actually, I Googled AI mode. We're all going to be in AI. That's just the way it is. It's like like people are like, oh, I'm worried they're going to get my driver's license. And I'm like, are you kidding me? All that shit's already out there. I mean, I was telling the guy at my bank that, because we were laughing about it. And he's Latino. And I said, they're after you guys, just so you know. And that's how I became known on TikTok, because I made this video about them after young kids and after people who speak 2 languages or more, especially Latinos and Latinas, especially them. And I kept trying to get people who speak Spanish to make a Spanish video, and nobody did. And so finally someone said, just make 3 1-minute videos. And one of them was that. And it's gone, I think it's 14 million views now. It's amazing. I mean, it really is. It's kind of like, wow. Bunker called me up the other day. He goes, wow, one of the videos, he couldn't believe it. It was like, wow. Let me just see. No, go away. All right, hang on. No, Ozzy means little Ozzy. Okay. All right, here we go. The message to the FBI. And if you're not part of it. Okay, here we go. Yep. 13.9 million, 8.1 million, and 4.6 million. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? You probably can't. Anyway, you can go to Tori Magoo 44 or Tori Chrisman 44, and you'll see them there. But they have a lot of questions. The kids do. Someone who maybe show you how to stream on TikTok and YouTube at the same time. Ooh, can you do that? That might be good. I didn't know you could do that. I didn't even know you could stream live on TikTok, I think. Yeah, no, I didn't know that. Okay, I asked ChatGPT to make up a postcard from another city to send to my nagging sister-in-law, so she thought I was out of town. ChatGPT refused until I said it was for a joke. Then it was made. Then it made one. God, that is so funny, isn't it? That's amazing that it cracks me up. It really does. All right, you guys. Anyway, I'm going to end off so you can go to bed and start your day if it's tomorrow. That's funny though. No, that is really funny for a joke. Think you need 2 phones, unfortunately. Oh, to do the live streaming thing. Yeah, I think you do. That's what Jessica had when we did it, and it worked. But anyway, for now, I love you guys, and I will see you. Yeah, what do we get now? Monday? Is today Monday? I think today's Monday. Oh, it's difficult. Let me see what day it is. Oh, come on. Come on, go away. Oh, no, it isn't. Today's Saturday. Wow. The whole week went by, and now I'm coming into the big week with the colonoscopy. Ooh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Anyway, I will. I'll get through it. It's Saturday. Thank you, 49ers for Life, and Dawn and Steph. Thank you. You guys are keeping up. All right. Well, nighty-nighters, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. And then I will see you probably, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday night, so possibly Saturday night if we protest, but I don't know if we are. And possibly Sunday, and then probably Monday. So there you go. Anyway, stay tuned and stay alive and have a wonderful rest of tonight and Saturday. And I will see you soon. And thank you for coming by. And thank you, Sophie, for being the mod. All right. Bye, you guys.